An evil clown from outer space eating little kids. I'm pretty sure this is based on a true story. It's Stephen King's It Chapter 2. I'm Adamic, here to tell you all about it. But first, hit that little subscribe button and check out ADAMICradio.com for more movie reviews, interviews, and other fun stuff. And now, It Chapter 2. In the first movie, the It monster, Pennywise the clown, he was going around eating little kids until a group of kids, the losers, they stood up to him and they vowed if he ever came back, they'd get back together and stop him again. Well, wouldn't you know it, Pennywise came back. So now 27 years later, the kids are all adults, they've all moved on with their lives, and they've put the past behind them. In fact, they don't even remember what happened. You know, apparently when you move out of the town of Derry, Pennywise somehow blocks your memories of him. But one of the losers stayed behind in Derry, and once he notices that, you know, the kids are getting eaten again, he calls up all the old group and convinces them to come back to town. So now the group is forced to confront the past and to confront Pennywise once again. This is a better movie than the first one. The original wasn't bad, but it kind of had a messy plot because they were trying to leave some things unresolved so they could pay them off in the sequel. So there were some holes, some things that just weren't totally explained. The sequel is a much more whole movie. They do a bunch of flashbacks and dialogue, which probably is enough to understand this film without seeing the first one, but you'd be missing out on a lot. The two movies really do work together. There are a lot of callbacks to the first one, so even if you've already seen the first one, you might want to go back and watch it again, get a little refresher on that, so that when you see the sequel, you understand the references, you get the payoffs, you get the jokes. They did a really good job of matching the adult actors up with the kid actors. So it really feels like the first movie could have been shot 30 years ago and that the kids grew up and that this is like a movie now being made after they've all become adults. So good job on that. They do have some scenes in this one with the kids, so it still feels familiar. It's not like a totally different movie, and they shoot new scenes with those kids to fill in some of the plot holes of the first movie and to kind of help explain more things. There is a different feel to the movies. The first one felt kind of like The Goonies meets a horror movie, whereas this one's more like Stand By Me as a horror. There's more Pennywise in this film. There's more CGI in this film. It's also funnier. I don't know if it was intentional. I think some of the stuff was supposed to be scary, but instead it just kind of comes off as funny. This is a bit different from the miniseries from the 90s, ending-wise, and definitely different from the book. And they even kind of make fun of that in the film because one of the kids grew up to become an author, so they keep teasing him throughout the film of writing really good stories with really bad endings. In fact, Stephen King even shows up and does a cameo in the film, teasing the kid about writing bad endings. Comparing this film to the miniseries from the 90s, obviously there's no claymation, so better special effects. The miniseries is probably a little more faithful to the book, because it covered some stuff that was in there. These movies chose to leave some stuff out. The funny thing is, these two movies together, 5 hours. The miniseries was only 3, and yet the movies kind of simplify the plot, which makes it a little bit easier to see, probably, and to watch. Now, they do explain the origin of Pennywise a little bit in this film. Enough that, you know, you're like, oh, okay, that's where he came from. But they leave enough holes in that there's a very good chance they could be doing a prequel to this. In fact, the director has already mentioned that, yeah, there's plenty of story we could do a prequel with. And it looks like really if you wait a couple of years, they're going to do that. Because the first movie made a lot of money. This one's going to probably make a lot of money. You've got a good, strong villain that people know now. You do a prequel, help build it, and you've got a lot of wiggle room. Basically, before the kids met Pennywise, before the losers met him, you know, you've got this huge backstory because I believe he's been on the planet for 500 years, 1,000 years? I forget the exact number, but he's been around for a while. So you've got all this stuff you can do. In fact, you could probably do trilogies leading up to these movies. So this is not going to be the last It movie you see. This is, like I said, a better movie than the first one. It's just more whole, more cohesive, more story. And you know, it's overall not a bad movie. 3.5 stars on this one out of 5. That's going to do it for It Chapter 2. Go ahead and leave your comment in the comment section, because that's where they go. And make sure to like, share, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. I'm Adamic. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.